It's high noon.
Welcome back, everybody. Bronco Broncos Game World. Today, we're taking another look at the all-time teams on the NFL 100 mod off of techmobile.org. This time, we're taking a look at the AFC East. Let's get right into it with the Buffalo Bills. The hell? The Buffalo Bills. Their roster consists of Jim Kelly and Josh Allen. I'm okay with those two. Thurman Thomas, yep. Andre Reed, Fred Jackson, okay. Devin Singletary, James Lofton, and Eric Moulds, that's fine. Don Beebe is questionable. Lee Evans, yes. Jay Remersma, and Pete Metzelaars, sure. Got some decent dudes on the O-line. Will Wolford, Jim Richter, Ken Hall, those are some guys. Steve Christie and Brian Moorman for the kickers. Ooh, Bruce Smith. Kyle Williams, Jerry Hughes, Daryl Talley. You just throw like the 1990 to 94 Bills defense on there and you'd be probably pretty good. Micah Hyde, Shane Conlon, Cornelius Bennett, Nate Odoms, Nate Clements, Mark Kelso with his big dome, and Henry Jones, stud. I'm kind of bummed you're missing OJ. I think that's a crime to not have him here. I understand that he's criminal and all the blah, blah, blah that went along with it. But looking for a pure historic football standpoint, O.J. Simpson belongs here. He deserves to be here. It's a crime that he's not. Jim Kelly. Pretty good. I'd say he's a little underrated here. Because Josh Allen, I bet will be better. No, that's Josh Allen in excellent. I don't like the accuracy. Excellent. That means that he's like a 44 accuracy in average, which means that's not very good. His passing speed is just like a freaking laser beam though at 88. He's definitely got some wheels, some ability to move around. It's definitely a little scary there. Thurman, what? Oh, he's injured here, but come on. One of the all-time greats for the Buffalo Bills. Andre Reed, all-time great for the Bills. Fred Jackson is a decent running back. I wouldn't say he was anything spectacular for them. He was good. Devin Singletary, I don't know. I'm not familiar with him. James Lofton was really good. Kind of came to Buffalo on the back end of his career, but he still did some good things for him. Eric Moulds was a pretty good receiver for a long time for them. I'd say Don Beebe's questionable. This is where you could have had OJ here. Because Don Beebe, well, yeah, he was good. I wouldn't say he was anything to write home about. Lee Evans, definitely a better receiver. Jay Remersma, decent tight end. I like Pete Metzelaars a little bit better. Keith McKellar, I think he's also a decent guy that was kind of omitted here. Bruce Smith should be just an absolute freaking demon, and they kind of got him statted out here to be that quickness at 88, hitting power 88. That means in excellent he's hitting 100. He's hitting power 100. He's quickness 100. So he's looking like Cortez Kennedy, which is he should. Kyle Williams, kind of an underrated guy here. I like Fred Smerlas a little better. Jerry Hughes, pretty good. Daryl Talley, he was really good for a long time. Micah Hyde, I'm not familiar with. Shane Conlon was a decent inside linebacker, way undervalued here. He was a better player than this. Yes, I'm aware that that's him in bad. Cornelius Bennett, again here, I think undervalued because for several years he was one of the best there was. Yes, that's him in bad. Their DBs are solid. Nate Odoms was really good. Nate Clements, also really good. Mark Kelso with his big monster helmet. He had like the big foam helmet before that was a thing. And Henry Jones. I think the Bills team here is actually understated for how good they were. A lot of their players in the 80s and 90s were. I think they're understated here because they should be better than that. Miami. Dan Marino. Duh. Bob Greasy. Mercury Morris, I like it. Larry Sonka, I like it. Tony Nathan, sure. Ricky Williams, okay. I see it. I'm okay with Ricky Williams here. The Marx Brothers, Mark Clayton, Mark Duper, Paul Warfield, Nat Moore, Jim Mandick, and Randy McMichael. Interesting. That's some dudes on the O-line. Richmond Webb specifically, just unbelievably good. Olindo Mare and Reggie Roby. Reggie Roby with the 1 bar. Jason Taylor, absolute monster. Manny Fernandez, Tim Bowens, Zach Thomas, pretty good. Tim Foley, Nick Bonicatti, yes. Brian Cox, thug. Sam Madison, Patrick Surtain, pretty good. Dick Anderson and Jake Scott. They have some guys. They're on the defensive side. Miami's always been kind of questionable, and I'd say that that's similar here. Yes, obviously it's an all-time team, so they've got some dudes on there. Let's look at some stats. Marino. This is Marino in bad, which means that in average he's a 75, 75, 81, 81. Which means in excellent he's 94. You know, he's running 94s and 88s, which is stupid. As it should be. He's one of the best of all time. Bob Greasy helped lead a team be undefeated still. To this day, the only team that's gone undefeated all the way and won the Super Bowl. Bob Greasy was the leader of that. Mercury Morris, running back on that team. They've got him statted pretty good. Larry Sonka, he should be like hitting power like 100. Because that's how that guy ran. He had no speed. All he was thuggery. And I am 100% behind that. Tony Nathan, he was okay. I wouldn't say he was anything special. I like Ricky Williams here because when he was in Miami, he was solid. He was a good running back. Mark Clayton, great receiver in the 80s. Mark Duper teamed with him. Great receiver in the 80s. Look at that max speed of 88. Mark Duper's flying. In excellent. Flying. He's averaging 30 yards a catch. Paul Warfield, solid. Have him on the Browns. I think he's slightly better here. Nat Moore, he's mediocre. Jamandic, like Randy McMichael a little bit better here. I'll probably swap that. Richmond Webb, one of the best to ever do it. So good. Jason Taylor, I think he's understated here. He should be better than that. Maybe like 1 tier better, so 6 more points on all of his stats to start. That's where I think he should be. His quickness at 88, I think, is dead on. Manny Fernandez, pretty good. Tim Bowens, he's in bad and pretty bad universally. Almost got to question whether there wasn't somebody better they could put there. Zach Thomas, I think that's about right. Maybe he's pretty good. I would say that he's maybe a little like 1 tier too high statted. So in average, he should be 31, 31, 51-ish. So I think he's a little overstated here. Tim Foley, pretty good. Nick Bonicatti, hitting powder 81. You always love that. Just these thugs in the middle that it's like, don't come in here because you're going to die. Brian Cox is one of those guys where it's like, just don't go in the middle because if you did, you were not going to come out with a head. Sam Madison was a solid corner for a long time. Patrick Surtain, his son's now playing in the league. He was always pretty good. Dick Anderson, solid. Jake Scott, solid. They're in Miami. They're decent. They got some. I think that they did a good job. I think the guys who put together the mod did a decent job. I think they got mostly the right players out there, and I think they got them mostly statted right for the most part. I mean, there's some hits or misses. I think Larry Zonka's hitting power should be a little bit better, but for the most part, I think they did a good job here. Miami looks like Miami. Here we go. New England. Tom Brady, Drew Bledsoe. Not a surprise by either one of those. Could have seen Plunkett there. People forget that he played for him. He wasn't that great for him. Honestly, Jim Plunkett wasn't that great of a quarterback in general. Curtis Martin, Hall of Famer. Julian Edelman, okay. I like Corey Dillon a lot here. Kevin Falk, I would have liked to seen like John Stevens or Craig James, maybe, over some of these guys. I like Randy Moss and Troy Brown, Wes Welker. A lot more modern guys on this team than some of the guys out of the 80s. I like Irving Fryer here or Stanley Morgan over both Julian Edelman and Troy Brown. I like Stanley Morgan and Irving Fryer over those guys. They're like not acknowledging too much the team that made the damn Super Bowl in '85, which is disappointing. Gronk, duh. Ben Coates, duh. Those are some solid dudes. They had some guys on O-line. John Hanna, specifically, is pretty good. Vinatieri and Rich Camarillo. Rich Camarillo is one of the best punters of all time. Guys on defense, Willie McGinnis, solid. Vince Wilfork, yep. Richard Seymour, yep. Tippett, solid guy. Out of that 85 team, Andre Tippett. Devin McCourty, Donta Hightower, Vrabel, Mike Haynes, Asante Samuel, Ty Law, and Rodney Harrison. I can't really argue with those guys. I kind of like Ronnie Lepet here. I don't know where you would sub a guy in, maybe in place of Devin McCourty. So I like Ronnie Lepet a good bit there. Yeah, I would have liked to seen some guys out of the 80s a little bit more here. But, I mean, Brady should be the best, and he is right there. That's him in good, so it takes six points off of all his stats. That's him in average. I like it. I think it's a little bit more, his passing speed's a little high. I've never thought of Tom Brady as having the cannonball arm. He said it's a good arm, not a cannon. I think he should be like a 69. Maybe even a 63 passing speed, but the rest of his stats are solid, right where they belong. Drew Bledsoe, I think that's statted about right. I would say for the Patriots, he's an all-timer. Was he an all-time great player? No. Curtis Martin, Hall of Famer. I think he's statted right where he needs to be. Edelman, that's him an excellent. That's fine. I don't classify him as an all-time player, but Corey Dillon did some great things for New England. I like it. I like Kevin Falk. I think he's way overstated. That dude did not ever do anything that deserved this kind of stat line. He was a solid long-term player for the Patriots during their Super Bowl runs, and he's a good player. His stats are easily 6 to 12 points high. Moss, good. This is not the peak Randy Moss. This is still a pretty much dead-on stat line for him. I'd say his receptions are a little too high because he had good hands. He didn't have the greatest hands. Troy Brown, he's a good receiver for him. I'd like to see Stanley Morgan or Irving Fryer here. Wes Welker, he's fine. Never won a Super Bowl with him. Josh Gordon, I don't like it. Again, some guys that are missing that could be either Gronk. That Gronk's a duh, and I like Ben Coates here. I like that one a lot. He's solid. John Hanna. McGinnis, good player. Not a great coach. Vince Wilfork, good player. I think his stat lines are pretty much dead on. Richard Seymour, solid player. Played for them in some up and down years. Andre Tippett, just a stud. Devin McCourty, pretty good. Donta Hightower, that's him, excellent. Mike Vrabel, Mike Haynes, pretty good. Asante Samuel was really good. Ty Law was really good. Shows it here. Rodney Harrison also really good. All right, Patriots. I think overall they're pretty good. There's a handful of guys on their team that I think are missing. Like I've said before, namely Irving Fryer, Stanley Morgan. I like Craig James too. John Stevens. Those were some dudes that made some headlines for them. Leonard Russell, he was pretty good too. Especially when you look at they got guys like Kevin Falk here, Josh Gordon, Julian Edelman. All those guys could easily have been swapped out for Stanley Morgan, Irving Fryer, Leonard Russell, John Stevens, Craig James. Just my opinion. All right, last team, New York Jets, all-timers, Joe Namath, Sam Darnold's a travesty. Curtis Martin, Wayne Corbett, Le'Veon Bell. I like Freeman McNeil there. I like Don Maynard, Altoon, Matt Snell. I like Wesley Walker, Mickey Schuler. There's some guys there. Jerome Barkham. Line's all right. That Jumbo Elliott. That was on the back end of his career, though. He made his name with the Giants more than the Jets. Yeah, I mean, you got to go Ken O'Brien here over Sam Darnold by a long shot. I mean, like the longest long shot ever. Sam Darnold has no business being here. It's almost like they forgot Ken O'Brien existed. Because Ken O'Brien was a solid player for a few years there. I like Curtis Martin a lot. I like Wayne Corbett a lot. Le'Veon Bell is probably, I would not put him on the Jets all time. He should be more on the Pittsburgh. And even then, that's questionable. The Jets had a handful of running backs back in the day that were okay. I mean, Curtis Martin by far is the best call. But they had some other guys. Freeman McNeil was one of those. I'm trying to think. I can't think of the guy's name. He ended up playing for the Cardinals for a while too. He was pretty good. I can't remember his name. Somebody tell me, like a mid 90s running back for the Jets. Chat, let me know who that guy is. Who's better than most of these other dudes. I like Wesley Walker here. Good call. Altoon. Like Don Maynard. If you really look at the history of the Jets, they're offensively, they're not good. There's the man, though. Mark Gastineau. Joe Klecko. Leonard Williams. Larry Grantham. Victor Green. Marvin Jones. Mo Lewis. Lockdown. Darrelle Revis and Aaron Glenn. Both solid. Bill Baird. Jamal Adams. Yeah. All right. Let's look at some stats. Joe Namath. This is Namath in bad. I'm sorry. This should be Joe Namath in good. Joe Namath was a bad quarterback. He just was. He won a Super Bowl by predicting that they would win. That's about the only thing that he did that makes him a Hall of Fame worthy quarterback. He is statistically terrible. Look at that. Dude fought injuries for a long time, too. He could have been better. Not even acknowledging that bullshit. Curtis Martin, solid as a rock. He was solid with New England, solid with the Jets. Wayne Corbett was good. Good, like, everyman utility player. Le'Veon Bell, he's a little overstated since, for the Le'Veon Bell that played with the Jets, he's overstated here. He doesn't belong there. Freeman McNeil was solid. I think that's him an excellent. I'd give that to him. I don't think he was that kind of guy for the most part. Don Maynard, pretty good. I think he's a little understated. Altoon, really good. I don't know, Matt Snell. Wesley Walker, I like Wesley Walker. Dude had some wheels. Didn't have the greatest hands, but had some wheels. I like Mickey Schuler as a tight end. He was always pretty good. Barkham as the other tight end. On the D, Mark Gastineau should just be an absolute thug. He was, at his peak, he was unstoppable. I'm glad he's here. I'm glad to see him here. Joe Klecko, stud too. Leonard Williams, he's okay. Larry Grantham, he's an excellent here. I'm not familiar with him too much. Looks pretty damn good though and excellent. Victor Green, meh. Marvin Jones was always solid. I like him. Mo Lewis, same thing. That's some dudes. Darrelle Revis should be... I'm sorry, Darrelle Revis here, he should look like Patrick Peterson. And he doesn't. Even in bad, I mean, again, just put 6 more points on all his stats and that's him in average. He's not good enough. No, he's not good enough. He should be statted out better than like Patrick Peterson. Aaron Glenn, again, he's in bad here, but I think that's about right for him. Bill Baird, not really familiar with their 2 safeties or Jamal Adams. I'm not familiar with either one of those guys. But I think the Jets are just missing. I don't really like I hate Sam Darnold. I hate that he's there. That should be Ken O'Brien by a long shot. Johnny Hector would have been even an okay call here over like Le'Veon Bell. I don't think Le'Veon Bell has any reason to be on here other than they just couldn't find anybody else. There you go, guys. There's the Jets. And that's the AFC East, folks. Please like, subscribe here, Broncos Gaming World. And we'll be doing some more of these breakdowns of the all-time teams in the divisions off of the Tecmo Bowl.org mod that we're playing here with the NFL 100. Until next time, folks, good night now.
Boom goes the dynamite.